advance of early voting.
Leader Jeffries. Thank you, Leader Jeffries. There are some bipartisan talks going on in the Senate on trying to pay federal workers that are currently furloughed right now. Would you support any legislation that comes out of the Senate, and are you aware of any talks, similar talks happening in the House between House Republicans and House Democrats?
Yeah, we're prepared to support any bipartisan legislation that comes out of the Senate that is designed to decisively address the Republican health care crisis, reopen the government, and enact a bipartisan spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people. That's what we're prepared to support.
Leader Jeffries, good morning. I understand the Democrats' position on health care and Obamacare here, but with the open enrollment period starting on the 1st, hasn't that ship legislatively sailed?
No, the challenge is going to become even more significant for Congress and the President to deal with if this government shutdown drags on to November 1st. Open enrollment starts on November 1st. At that point in time, Americans all across the country are going to begin to further realize that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are going to skyrocket. And why is that happening? Because Republicans decided earlier this year that they'd rather gut Medicaid and then provide massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors, make those tax breaks permanent, but now, as we approach open enrollment, have zero interest in actually extending Affordable Care Act tax credits that benefit working families, middle-class families, and everyday Americans. And so the crisis has grown worse because of Republican inaction over the last several weeks. And if we get to November 1st and we hit open enrollment and Republicans have still refused to act with respect to the Affordable Care Act tax credits, I think that's going to increase the intensity and need for urgent legislative action to take place.
Is retroactivity viable?
Yes.
Explain.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Senator Thune has maintained that he believes a path out of the shutdown will come from rank-and-file members in the Senate, bipartisan conversations, maybe even a gang. You and Leader Schumer have maintained that the path out of this is with the conversation with the president. Can you help kind of reconcile the position that Leader Thune has in that things will come up from bipartisan rank-and-file conversations, and you saying that Democrats need to talk to the president? Why do you think that there's a gap between how you both see the path out of the shutdown?
Well, Republicans in the House and the Senate, from the very beginning of the Trump presidency, haven't functioned like they are a separate and co-equal branch of government. What we've seen from Republicans in the House and the Senate is that they behave like a wholly owned subsidiary of Donald Trump and the Trump cartel. That's how they behave. A reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda, even when they're hurting their own constituents, because that's what Republicans did in the One Big Ugly Bill. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripped food from the mouths of children, seniors, and hungry veterans. And as a result of Republican policies that they rubber-stamped, what we've seen is that hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing in their own communities. And they can care less, because when Donald Trump says jump, they simply respond, boss, how high? That's how Republicans have operated during the entirety of this presidency. And so, of course, our position has been, and I said this directly to the president with Johnson and Thune right next to me, this does not get resolved until you decide to give permission to Republicans on Capitol Hill to negotiate a bipartisan resolution.
Jeffries.
Thank you. What is your reaction to now the third strike against suspected drug boats in the Caribbean just this week?
Well, it certainly is the case that we need to see the information from the administration justifying these strikes, both in terms of substance and in terms of the legal authority that they believe authorizes them in the absence of congressional action. Part of the problem that we have with House Republicans being on vacation for the last 4 weeks is that we don't even have the opportunity for the House to be briefed in its entirety. on matters of domestic policy, and in this particular instance, on matters of national security, because House Republicans are gone. It's extraordinary. They've been on vacation for 4 weeks. They're getting paid for doing nothing, and then House Republicans are forcing hardworking federal employees to either be furloughed without pay or to work without pay, while they've refused week after week after week to show up. Mike Johnson needs to bring Republicans back now. Enough. This is ridiculous.
Leader Jeffries.
Yep.
Thank you, Leader. So you just said that Republicans are hurting their own constituents, and I understand that SNAP is a broad issue that affects millions, but in your home state alone, 3 million people are expected to lose their benefits next month. And you say you're ready to accept anything bipartisan out of the Senate. We have 3 Democrats who are voting for this right now.
You said, no, I said we're ready to consider anything that emerges in a bipartisan way in good faith from the Senate.
Thank you. Regardless, this is still a bipartisan effort right now to extend Biden's funding levels.